Double chocolate cookie? It's the boom!
Welcome to the TCG-Royals podcast. Today I'm joined by one Aiden khus that recently debuted and got top 128 with his Boom or Doom deck. So did it boom or doom?
Definitely boomed day one. I mean, like, other than hitting the cloth, hit a cloth for spoilers. But yeah, definitely boomed. Boomed until it doomed. Did not finish with a placement that I was like really looking for. I mean, I guess that's what I get for playing a non-streamlined, non-meta deck. But it definitely felt good to play in the event.
So let's take a look at that deck list. Definitely an interesting one. Talk me through the how this came together.
So pretty much like I was chilling in one of my group chats. One of my friends sent this list from Japan and was like, "Yo, we play an Arceus V-Star again," and it was an Arceus deck with some Dusknoir. And then I was like, "Well, I guess I'll sleeve this up for my local league challenge." And I came home and I remember telling him like, "Hey, I'm going to this league challenge. I'm gonna play Arceus Dusknoir," and you were like, "Dude, this deck is hot garbage." And I was like, "Well, bet me $5 I won't win this league challenge." And you're like, "All right, that's free $5." And lo and behold, I got $5 in my pocket after that day. It was pretty sick. And we boomed that night. And that just sparked an idea in my head. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna make this deck perfect. I really don't like this format, but I think this deck is so fun that I'm just going to work on this deck nonstop until Baltimore and play this deck.
I definitely think this deck isn't something crazy new because it's mostly just Dusknoir, and I think Skymancy plays something similar to with a Darkrai in V-Star. And I think this deck is archetype's going to become a lot more popular of playing just an F ton of Dusknoirs, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So walk me through your day one going into this tournament. Were you feeling a lot confident playing this kind of this pile?
Yeah, I mean, I felt as confident as I could be playing this, to be honest. I know that like at Worlds, it didn't see that ton of success. I mean, no one really brought Arceus, but Henry Brand, the Australians, Henry Brand, Tim Danklin, they brought the boom. He brought the Bennett Dusknoir. Almost made day two, lost the winning in. Tim Danklin, I think he did pretty garbage, but he also played like the same deck that Szymanski did, like the Moon Dusknoir. So shout out to him for the original idea. Tim the GOAT. But yeah, no, it definitely felt like a really great pick for the event. Had really good matchups. I really genuinely did not think I was losing to anything if I just like saw the right cards and like hit the right matchup. I mean, like sometimes you could draw differently in different matchups and it works out for you. Like there's literally no bad matchup going into this event. I attested against all of the meta decks. I had lines and pretty much like a lot of stuff that I could do into mostly everything. I think the only thing that was really unfavored on paper was Reggie Drago, because whenever they go first and they get the attack off, they pretty much obliterate you. But if you go first and you have to do the thing, it's pretty much just a coin flip at the end of the day. It's like you're playing Chien Pao back in the day, whenever you're playing Chien Pao mirrors, stuff like that. But yeah, going into the event felt great. I convinced 3 of the people in my room to play the deck. As some people would say, that is list terrorization. 2 of them, one of them actually hit a cloth in round 1, and their tournament ended very swiftly. But me and my friend Josh, we both made it pretty comfortably into day 2. I was at 6-1 on my way into top 8, and I get paired against a cloth. I'm like, wow, how am I not on stream? First off, that is extremely biased. Play Pokemon, just streamed Cloth versus Arceus. You had a chance, but you whiffed it. But yeah, day 1 went pretty good. Hit two Raging Bolts to start off my day. Felt pretty good. Then got paired into a Roaring Moon. All of these 2 prize decks are just really good for the deck because you have Blood Moon or Saluna, you have Iono. You could take 2 prizes with 2 Dusknoirs. And even like you could attack with Blood Moon or Saluna on whenever your opponent's at 3 prizes when using double turbo. It's just a really good pairing with the Blood Moon plus all of the stuff, because you just have you have a lot more disruption than most decks, so you could just disrupt them, put them down to 3 prizes, you go down to 4, and if they don't KO your Blood Moon on the next turn, then you win, because you pop Dusk Norse, KO a 2-prizer, and then switch that Blood Moon out and attack again, and then take another 2 prizes, and then boom, that's 4 prizes, that wins the game. They do take a knockout in that Blood Moon or Saluna, though. Then you just nice stretcher it back, attack with it again, Iono your opponent to 1, and if they have game, they have game. That's just how it is. But yeah, you have so many plays into those 2 prize beat stick decks that it was just so overwhelming for them in most cases. And then in round 4, I showed up to my round 4 playing Miloslav, powerful player. He got top 32 at the World Championships with Reggie Drago. I heard Jay Jewel did something to him that wasn't so swag, but yeah. Roll up my round 4 opponent. I had some drip. Ian Robb gave me some clear glasses. He said that was his Grant Hayes cosplay. So I showed up. I stole Chris Franco's beanie. I put it on. Put the glasses on. I was doing my emo cosplay. And
I think we have a picture of that.
Yeah. I rolled up to my round like that, and I happened to be bad luck. Played against Reggie Drago. He won the flip. He flips over Reggie Drago. I instantly feel myself crumble on the inside after he flipped, and he said he would go first, because I knew he was fleeing Reggie Drago. Then, game 1, it almost ends in my favor, but I prized Dust Collapse, so I couldn't take the 4 prize turn and knock out both of his Reggie Dragos after he whiffed V-Star on his second turn. Then game 2, I'm feeling pretty confident, I'm going first, and then boom, life slams you with the Blood Moon pass hand. So we go into the next couple of rounds. Felt pretty good. Hit another Raging Bolt, hit a Lugia, and then I hit another Reggie Drago. Piece up all those 2-0s, all of them. Feeling great. 6-1 cloth. Don't even have to talk about it. That's just a loss. And then I'm feeling a little bit nervous. I'm like, well, if I don't make day 2, I could attribute this purely to just being so unlucky that I hit the only cloth in the room at 6-1. And then I get a down pair, and I'm like, well, now I'm about to lose to someone who's not even going to make day 2 if they beat me. And then they flip over Raging Bolt, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm not going to lose to this person. Yeah. So, piece them up. Actually, it was a lot closer of a set than it should have been, because I bricked game 2. Game 3, dismantle him. GG's, game over.
So I wanted to ask about, going into tournaments where you're playing a rogue deck, I think definitely you have an advantage in day 1. Day 2, I think a little bit less, because people are going to talk about your list if you make day 2, of having that advantage of not knowing, or your opponent not knowing what you're playing. Do you think that came up a lot in your day 1?
A decent amount. I mean, as much as it can. I think any time that you play a rogue deck, you gain that advantage. It's a great advantage to have. That's why I play these decks. I'm actually not that naturally good at the game. I just love playing these decks that have the surprise factor. I could really show off how good I am at the game by deck building when I crumble in the big moments because I don't read my cards. But yes, playing these decks, it just gives you a huge advantage because your opponents always misplay. They misplay a lot regardless, but they misplay a lot more whenever they have no idea what's going on. A lot of my opponents literally admitted that they had no idea what to do in most of the games. It's just the surprise factor is so big that they just have more opportunity to misplay. So if you're thinking about playing a rogue deck and you actually know that the rogue deck is good and it's not just terrible, then maybe it could be a good idea. But yeah, in day 2, it literally just came down to I hit 2 friends in the first 2 rounds, Lucas Zing and Michael Davidson. Lucas Zing, however, did not know how to play the matchup for some reason. He did not respect the boom or doom. He kept on telling me my deck was bad, my deck was bad, my deck was bad. 2-0'd him, pieced him up. Get out of here. And then I hit Michael Davidson. Michael Davidson, he respected the boom or doom. Unfortunately, my Ionos were honestly his saving grace because he kept on getting Iono'd to one of the perfect cards. He had a 6-card hand. He told me after the game his hand was terrible, unplayable. I Iono in the 1, plus his top deck, research, Bezendipity bench. All right, pick up the cards. Game 2, piece him up. Game 3, prize my last counter catcher to lose the game after I saved Starburst to grab it at the end. I did not have enough time to prize check in the last game because I was trying to play for the win rather than play for the tie. I mean, that one's on me for sure. Then hit a Lugia. Pretty nice opponent. Piece him up game 1. Games 2 and 3, however, I did not go first in game 2. My hand was very subpar. I think I might have made a slight misplay. I think I definitely could have gone for a play that would have put him down to 1 prize card left that knocked out both of his Archeops and his Iron Hands with energy on it, and he would have had to hit attach plus boss off of Roxanne. But I went for a safe play, which I shouldn't have done. I was up a game and I was like, well, maybe I could play safe. Never play safe with this deck. This deck is extremely aggressive. Playing safe is usually your demise. Then game 3, I got punished for playing bad, and I opened Pheasantipity in the active and nothing else, and I just slowly crumbled away after that point. And then I win my last round against a Regidrago 2-0 pretty quickly. But then my tournament's already over because losing more than one game in day 2 is literally just like you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, I believe I talked to Prin about basically you kind of have to aim to go like 9-0 day 1. Losing in day 1 is a lot more detrimental now. When you're trying to top 8 and trying to win the tournament, and like your record has to be much more strict to get that top 8 and day 2. What are your thoughts on the tournament structure so far? The change?
Yeah, I think that it should be everyone's goal to not lose a single game in day 1. I mean, I hope if you're going to a regional, you're trying to win the whole thing, or you're just trying to have as much fun as you can, then maybe don't even play in the main event. But yeah, obviously you want to win every game. If you can, that sets you up pretty well. But even if you go 9-0 in day 1, you still have to go 2-2 in day 2 just to make the asymmetrical round, which is like still a grind there for sure. Like Rahul already still went 3-1 in day 2 or whatever to make his top 8. It's just a really hard tournament structure. Less rounds means less opportunities, less room for failure, less room to make mistakes. I definitely think that like you have to play near perfectly in these regionals at this point. I am glad that Henry won though, because Henry did have like the most unique cooked list in that top 8. And I think he just definitely deserved to win the event the most. So at least that tells me that the people who deserve to win these events are still winning these events.
Yeah, I think that's important. And then next I want to talk to you about the future of this deck. I know that I think a lot of decks are building around not Arceus anymore. They're using Dusknoirs, but they're not building around Arceus. They're instead building around more Terra and more like Charizard, the turtle, stuff like that. Sure, so I want to hear kind of your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've already seen some lists of Terapagos, Dusknoir, Checkmate that have come out. I mean, that's very similar to this deck, to be honest. It's just you getting Noctowl. You don't really need Starbirth as much because Starbirth is your Noctowl. I pretty much view this deck like you are playing Terapagos Checkmate, but just a format earlier, pretty much. You don't have Terapagos, so you can't use Briar, but instead you're just trying to like take out all of your opponent's threats with Dusknoir plus Ursaluna, and attack with like DT on Ursaluna whenever your opponent's at 3 prizes, or just take out everything on their board that can attack, and then just leave them with a board full of just like support Pokemon or anything that just can't attack. Yeah, leading like the additions of Briar and Terapagos definitely add a lot more to this archetype for sure. Dusknoir will be abused next format, 100%. Someone will find a way to break this. If not me. But I definitely think that there's a lot of ways to play this. The Noctowl is extremely interesting. It's just Shady Dealings and Teleon on a 1 prize there. But I think if this deck is good next format, then why isn't Regidrago still good next format? Because Regidrago does take a good matchup into this if you know what you're doing. The catch was most of my Regidrago opponents had no idea what they were doing. But now if this becomes a more respected deck in the metagame, then a lot more Regidrago people will start learning how to play this matchup, and it will just be a bad matchup for sure. If they win the flip, the game is like very hard to win.
I kind of want to hear your general advice on a deck that's playing like a 4/3 Dustnor. Like I think you've mastered kind of the art of popping Dustnor and like kind of using them. Do you have any like general tips or like kind of mindset you have to have when using that card? Things to remember, stuff like that.
I mean, like it's very. It honestly feels like you're not playing the same Pokemon that we've been playing for the past couple formats. It's definitely a game changing card. A lot of games are different. You're going to play so many games of Pokemon that are just very different than ones that you've played before, and you're going to be like, wow, I really have to just be reactive in this situation with Dusknoir, especially. I think Dusknoir would not be a healthy card if Fezandipity wasn't printed. So I am kind of glad that they printed Fez, because I feel like this deck would be just the BDIF undisputedly if Fezandipity was not printed, because then you're just Ionoing your opponent to 1, hitting something, and like you could force them always to go down to 1 with Dusknoir. So it definitely would not be healthy for the game. But now that they do have Fezandipity, if it definitely makes it an issue if your opponent benches Fezandipity, because then you have to Dusknoir KO the Fezandipity in order to stick them with that hand disruption, or you're just using Briar to end the game. There's definitely some crazy combos that you can do with Briar. So there's going to be a lot of combos. It's like you're pretty much you're trying to solve an enormous puzzle during your turn. You're pretty much putting together like 1,000-piece puzzle, and you're trying to make all the pieces fit in the right order. And if you mess it up, then it's going to take you a long time to figure it out, or we'll just literally lose you the game if you mess up some of the sequencing that has to do with playing the deck whenever it comes to Terapagos.
Especially because I think at least when I've played the Terapagos Dusknoir deck, it feels like you're playing almost 2 turns. And you basically need to, and when you're only playing 2 turns, you need to really think about everything you're doing, and you're doing a lot of action. So it does definitely feel like a puzzle. I think that'll be really interesting to kind of see how people play, how many misplays happen, and kind of how the meta reacts to that kind of deck.
I mean, misplays happen every single game. I don't think that, like, people that say they play perfectly, sub 1% of players play perfectly. That doesn't happen. Like, there's always something you could have done better in a game, pretty much. Like, even if it's marginal, there's always something that could have been done better. I've seen a couple of perfect games been played, but also it's subjective, right? No one knows exactly what's perfect. This is a game that's based off of a lot of luck. So, I mean, you always should be analyzing your play. You always should be, like, making sure, like, just thinking back, being like, what can I fix? What can I do in the future that may increase my odds to hit this one thing I need to hit in the game?
And then kind of end it off, is there any deck that you're kind of looking forward to in the new format? Any keeping your eye on? I know you're the master deck builder, so you want to keep your deck secret a little bit, but is there anything you're a little bit high on, or?
I mean, like, obviously, like, the Terapagos checkmate is really interesting. I mean, an optimized list would be nice. We are only on the online tournaments where we have, like, so many unoptimized lists. It just makes me so frustrated for everything. Max out your consistency. Make sure that all of the cards in your deck are good. I think Reggie's is really interesting. I mean, as you know, I think it's interesting. I don't know if it'll work. I think it's really interesting. The one prizers are, like, probably dying to Briar, but I think Reggie's has something that it can do. My favorite cup deck, though, next format is Whiscash Reggie's.
Whiscash Reggie.
That is the deck we need to be playing the cups next format. You can mill 18 in one turn.
No, yeah, it seems pretty good.
You can mill 18. You go Regigigas, scoop up Cyclone, Regigigas with the reversal energies, mill 18.
Sounds pretty toxic.
It is something like that.
Alrighty, well, thank you for joining us, Aiden. Is there anywhere we can find you? I think you have a Twitter. Metafy is not open, I don't think, right now.
I'm going to be opening it soon. Stay tuned for the Metafy reopening. It'll be happening soon. I've gotten a lot of requests on Facebook. It's been kind of crazy lately, so I'll get it reopened.
Maybe
sure.
There will be a Dusknoir masterclass.
There'll be a masterclass coming soon. I just don't I need to figure it out. But yeah, you'll find me back on Metafy soon. I'll post about it on my Twitter, which is at khus Aiden if you're not already following me. Yeah, and stay tuned for the MetaFi reopening. You could contact me through Facebook Messenger or Twitter DMs or whatever. Discord, khus Aiden 7. You could message me for coaching. I do take in new clients on there. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, thank you for joining, and boom or doom.